The Senegalese men's national team is one of the strongest African sides on paper, and one of the main sources of talent production for them is a small club called Generation Foot. Now, Generation Foot has produced players like Sadio Mane, Newcastle legend Papiss Cisse, West Ham striker Diafra Sakho, and many, many others. And so today we're going to talk about how they managed to produce all this talent and what's coming up next for this little giant club. So how did this all come about? It all started with the current president and founder, Madi Touré. Madi Touré was a professional footballer that moved to France in the 1980s, was playing in the lower leagues and suffered a pretty premature injury that ultimately interrupted his career early on. Nevertheless, he was always in contact with a lot of up-and-coming young talent from the homeland who were always asking him for advice on how to move across the Mediterranean basin and build a career in France. So that's when Madi Touré started giving a lot of these youngsters advice, and he started scouting towards the end of the last millennium. So after a lot of success scouting for a lot of different clubs in France, Madi Touré went to AS Nancy, which is like a mid-sized club in France, and he asked them to fund his idea of an academy. It would be called Generation Foot. So Nancy agreed, and the first iteration of the academy is nothing like it looks today. It was run down, sometimes the electricity would cut in and out, the players would go sleep in their own homes, they wouldn't sleep at the academy. And after 3 years, Nancy had some financial trouble and they decided to pull the plug on the project. So in 2003, Madi Touré was at a match between Monaco and Metz. And after the match, he went to go speak to the Metz coach, Jean Muller, and he basically pitched the idea to him again. And he said, look, we have the talent, we have the goods in Senegal, you guys have the money. This is a pretty straightforward exchange, it's a mutual win-win.
Comme j'ai toujours dit, nous avons le produit, ils ont l'argent. Le produit c'est quoi? C'est les joueurs.
Luckily for Metz and for French football and Senegalese football, Metz decided to go ahead and fund Generation Foot. And so they entered into that agreement in 2003, and it's not just the money for talent exchange. Generation Foot take after Metz's color scheme. There's a lot of cultural and educational exchanges that go on between the clubs, and they've really set up probably one of the healthiest partnerships in world football. So after the early successes like Papiss Cisse or like Diafra Sakho, Generation Foot decided to invest a lot more into the infrastructure. So in 2013, Generation Foot, with the help of Metz of course, bought 20 hectares of land, about 15 to 16 kilometers east of Dakar, near the famous Pink Lake. But to build up all the infrastructure, of course, took time. Nowadays, there's a medical block, there's 3 pitches, there's living quarters, there's a technical center where they do a lot of video work, and of course, there is a cafeteria. To run an operation like this, you need 35 full-time employees, both from France and locally from Senegal. So there's a lot of money being invested into it. But one of the most admirable things Generation Foot does is that they take education very, very seriously. For them, ideally, when a player leaves the academy, whether he's professional or not, he should be able to speak multiple languages, English, Spanish, French. But ideally, he'll also have his high school diploma and a driver's license. To detail how seriously Generation Foot takes the education, in 2015, their under-17 side actually dropped out of the Senegalese Cup because there were high school exams going on at the time, and that was jeopardizing the timing of the match. And it was really around that time in 2015 where we started to see, those players that started in 2003, sometimes at the age of 5, 6, 7 years old, start to mature, and instead of just one superstar like a Diafra Sakho or a Papiss Cisse, we started seeing a steady flow of talent coming through. And all of that reflected domestically into local success. In 2015, Generation Foot won a cup. In 2017, they won the league. In 2018, they won a cup. In 2019, they won the league. And we can't really overstate how difficult that is when sometimes 7 to 8 of your own players can leave in a single transfer window. Nevertheless, Generation Foot just replenishes from their reserves and they continue to be competitive on the domestic scene. So how do they find their talent? There's no real secret, they just cast the net very, very wide. So Generation Foot not only scouts for talent in Senegal, where they have a sterling reputation and people almost volunteer their kids to enter the academy, but they also conduct trials and tests in neighboring countries like the Gambia, Burkina Faso, Mali, the Ivory Coast, etc. There isn't too much information available about what exactly Generation Foot looks for in a player, but judging by the players that come out of the academy, Sadio Mane, Ismaila Sarr, Diafra Sakho, who actually used to be a track and field athlete before he became a footballer. Generation Foot really puts a premium on athletic ability and instinct. And the managing director of Generation Foot actually spoke to this. He basically said, "The young players who join the academy are used to playing on sandy terrain. They obviously lack tactical basis and play a lot on instinct. Bringing them tactical rigor, without of course neglecting their own characteristics, is part of their training." So Generation Foot is not really doing any rocket science out here. What they're basically doing is stabilizing living conditions, making sure these kids can basically focus on football, and then providing quality education and footballing education. And that's pretty much it. So what's next for Generation Foot? The contract that they have with Metz, or the Memorandum of Understanding, actually runs out in 2020. But they are expected to renew that relationship, as it's again been one of the most mutually beneficial relationships in world football. In the press, Madi Touré has also spoken to the fact that he would like to build a 25,000 seater stadium that adheres to international norms, and I think that would be really good, not just for the club but for the country as well. Senegal have a fantastic national team and fantastic footballing talent coming out of the country, but sometimes the infrastructure does not really meet the level of the play. Other French clubs have actually seen the success of Generation Foot and they're starting to copy them. So Lyon came into an agreement with Dakar Sacré-Cœur, which is another good academy. Marseille have also visited Generation Foot, as have many Turkish clubs, including Galatasaray. So to illustrate how mutually, financially profitable this entire operation has been, what you need to know is that the amount of money that Metz have put in since 2003 until 2020 is just 10 million euros. Think about that for a second. Sadio Mane today is probably worth around 100 million euros. Ismaila Sarr was transferred for 30 million pounds and it was a club record at Watford. So Generation Foot is making a lot of money on the back end of these deals with, sell-on clauses and compensation. And so even though there are multiple stakeholders between agents and clubs, Generation Foot is still making a lot of money. So after Sadio Mane, Papiss Cisse, Diafra Sakho, who are the next youngsters we should be looking out for? For me, you should definitely be looking at the two strikers at Metz right now. Habib Diallo had 20 goals this last year in Ligue 1. I think he was 5th or 6th best scorer in the league. Very pacey, wiry striker that likes to play into space and finishes well as well. Again, has very good instincts. But you also have Ibrahima Niane at Metz, who's only 21 years old. He scored, I believe, 3 goals and 9 starts this year, but he's had incredible success. So definitely look out for those two, and also look out for a young midfielder who's coming out of Generation Foot, who's expected to be transferred to Metz this summer. His name is Pape Matar Sarr. We expect him to be named, among some of the world's best young talents coming through. He's a tall, rangy, box-to-box midfielder. Really does his lion's share of work, in the middle part of that pitch. And he's very well-rounded. He can do everything from tackling to distributing the ball. Probably just needs to improve his end product a little bit, but definitely keep a lookout for him as well. So that's the Generation Foot project, one of the most successful in Africa, but it's not one of the only ones. And we're definitely going to be looking at other academies, whether it's Academy Mohammed VI in Morocco, Paradou in Algeria, ASEC Mimosas in Cote d'Ivoire, Right to Dream in Ghana. There have been a lot that have a lot of success and they do things in different ways. So we're definitely going to be continuing to do that on this channel. So if you like it, thumbs up, subscribe, comment, you know the drill.